Life can often feel overwhelming, can it? With the constant noise, demands, and uncertainties, staying calm and positive might seem like a distant dream, but it doesn't have to be. In the midst of all the chaos, there's a quiet wisdom that has guided countless people toward peace and clarity for centuries. Buddhist teachings. Today we'll explore practical lessons inspired by this timeless philosophy. Lessons that can help you find calm and cultivate positivity, no matter what life throws your way. These aren't abstract ideas, but simple, actionable steps you can start using right now. And here's something to look forward to. Stay with me until the end, and I'll share a bonus tip that ties everything together in a powerful way. Let's begin this journey toward a calmer, brighter life. Lesson mindfulness is the key. Consider yourself having a bag of regret from past and bag of worry for future. It's exhausting, isn't it? This is how many of us live, weighed down by thoughts that pull us away from the only moment we truly have the present. The key is that in mindfulness you put down those bags. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present, being aware, and without judgment of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. Whenever you try to live in the present, you let go of the past mistakes, and you give up the idea of future uncertainties. You live life as it happens, not what is or what could be. Start small. Here's a simple mindfulness exercise. Pause and take a deep breath. When inhaling, take careful note of the air reaching your lungs and of the sensation of air being filled into them. Take it in for a moment, then breathe out of your mouth. As you breathe, let your attention dwell on this experience, rising and falling, the sound of your breath, what your body feels like. You could also do a mindfulness check-in. Out of courtesy to all, take a few moments to observe your surroundings. What do you see? What sounds do you hear? What is the air like on your skin? This practice helps you get out of your head and into the now. Mindfulness doesn't erase life's challenges, but it equips you to face them with clarity and calm. By staying present, you reclaim your energy and find peace in the now. With consistent practice, mindfulness becomes more than a technique, it becomes a way of living. Lesson: embrace impermanence. Turns out everything in life is changing all the time. Seasons change, relationships progress, and those of us, are not necessarily going to be the exact person we were a year ago. Buddhism recognizes an ever-changing nature of life and names that impermanence, or anicca. That may sound unsettling at first. After all, if it doesn't change, it stays, and vice versa. So we hold on to what we love. For when we actually allow ourselves to be permeable to impermanence, that is one of the most liberating truths. Impermanence teaches that none of our joys or our struggles will ever last. It brings us back to appreciate that life is in a constant state of flux, and every experience is just a transient wave. It can be such a good thing because when we find ourselves in situations of difficulty, this perspective really helps us to stay calm, because we know that pain, like everything else, is temporary. We shouldn't fight change or fear wanting loss, but rather should be able to accept that is natural in life. Imagine a hard time you've been through, maybe a home run, a breakup, a layoff, or even just a bad day. At the moment, it probably felt overwhelming. Pain faded over time, and life was carried on. This is the action of impermanence. No storm lasts forever. Learn to practice gratitude for the present moment. Enjoy your happiness. Realize it won't last, and it's so precious. Sometime during an ordeal, remind yourself that tomorrow will bring its own trouble. Nature really is a teacher as you watch the leaves change colors in the fall or watch a flower bloom and fade. These cycles are patterns of our own lifetime. When we accept impermanence, we learn not to hold on to things we cannot change, and we learn to find serenity with the rise and fall of life. It means that every moment comes without fear of change. It can be embraced. Lesson: cultivate compassion for yourself and others. Compassion is a soft, gentle light, softening the sharp edges of life. It's picking up on the pain in people's faces, in their words, never mind your own, and choosing to empathize with kindness rather than gunk. Compassion is one of the highest virtues in Buddhism because it has an effect of waves through to the community by transforming not only individual people, but entire communities. Most times we are kind to others, yet how often do we extend this kindness to ourselves? So many of us are our harshest critics, replaying mistakes and thinking we're not enough. But compassion begins within. When you start to treat yourself the way you would a friend, you set the ground for positivity and emotional balance. Understanding that compassion for others is equally as vital is big. But when you use empathy to approach people, whether they're irritating or painful to you, you start to see the struggle and humanity in them. This doesn't mean being okay with bad behavior, but it does let you go of anger and bitterness, which are also bad for you. Connection through compassion brings life's isolation down a notch and makes life feel more connected and more meaningful. The practice of becoming compassionate is a simple meditation practice. Take a deep breath and let it out as far as you can, letting your body relax with each exhale until you are sitting comfortably, closing your eyes. Imagine someone you care deeply about and who you want to see happy, healthy, peaceful. Keep silently wishing that they be free from suffering. May you be filled with peace. Shift then your focus inward. Imagine a warm light surrounding you as you repeat the same wish for yourself. But first, free from suffering may I be. May I be filled with peace last. Stretch this compassion out to someone with whom you would find yourself struggling, or someone with whom you have little relationship, and extend the same words. This practice softens your heart and helps you let go of negativity, bringing a little more compassion into your life. Compassion isn't limited to doing. It's a state of being wherein doing heals the person who does it as well as the person it is done to. But when you grow it, you become more. You live in a life of deeper connections and continued positive energy. Practice detachment from negative thoughts. Sometimes our thoughts are lighter, more like fluffy clouds, whereas at other times the clouds are heavy with stormy thoughts and it's a difficult time to see. Usually, we've gotten too caught up in the storm, griping about our bad thoughts like they own a piece of us. In Buddhism, we're taught to watch our thoughts but not get entangled with our thoughts. The practice of detachment helps us loose the grip on our minds, and we can decide how to answer, rather than getting plunged into each thought. When we practice detachment, we start to realize that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not facts, and they don't have to own us. Negative thought, sarcasm, anger, fear, etc. can happen, but doesn't have to stick around and find a home in our mind. Just by observing these thoughts without measuring them or gaining attachment to them, they pass as naturally as clouds in the sky move across the sky. An easy way to start practicing this is with a visualization technique. What if you were sitting by a peaceful river? Every thought is a negative thought. Every one of them is a leaf floating on the water. Whether you're remembering something you've done in the past and wish you hadn't, or you're preoccupied by what you're about to do, or you have a self-doubt about something you're going to attempt, visualize putting that thought on a leaf and seeing it float by downstream. It drifts away from you some more until it is out of sight. By doing this, you train your mind to see thoughts for what they truly are, temporary, fleeting, and powerless over you, unless you choose to hold on to them. With time, this practice helps you release negative thoughts with greater ease, replacing them with a calmer, clearer state of mind. You don't have to hold on to every thought that comes your way. By practicing detachment, you allow peace to return naturally. Learn breathe to anchor yourself. But when life is chaos, your mind invades with stress, it is hard to center yourself. The simplest and most powerful tool to regain calm comes down to your breath in those moments. But we forget that breathing is something we do all the time. You can immediately center yourself and feel peace in this present moment by just focusing on your breath. The secret to this practice is to be anchored by your breath. When you find yourself in situations creating stress or anxiety, slow your breathing a bit and become aware. You don't have to change it, you just notice it. Take account of the air moving in and out of your body. You use your breath to bring your attention to something other than the distractions and worries cluttering your mind. It's a simple act of awareness that has an immediate calming effect because it brings you back to the here and now. Deep belly breath is a good use of breathing technique. First, find yourself in a comfortable seated position and put one hand on your belly, whereas as you breathe in through your nose, let your belly expand and fill with air. Take the breath hold for a moment and then slowly release your breath through your mouth, letting your belly go. Do this a few times and concentrate on each breath rising and falling with the belly's rise and fall. Not just the mind, but also the body's relaxation response gets activated as we breathe deep, and it reduces the physical symptoms of stress. Through consistent practice of these techniques, you are conditioning yourself to continually go back to your breath when you feel like you're getting too overwhelmed. Eventually, this simple practice of breathing will teach you how to be present, calm, and shani, no matter what is thrown at your doorstep. When you focus on your breath, you reconnect with the present moment, and that connection is the key to finding peace in the midst of chaos. Lesson: accept what you cannot control. Let's talk about one of the most liberating lessons of Buddhism. We cannot control everything. Some things aren't up to you. Life comes at us unpredictable and can leave you sobbing on the floor. However, it is actually in that acceptance of what we cannot control that we become at peace with ourselves and release ourselves from torturing inner turmoil. Our suffering only increases if we resist or fight that in which we cannot change. However, when we learn to accept, we let go of unnecessary stress and give our lives space for calmness. It's not a question of acceptance, it's a question of yes. That doesn't mean you stop worrying about results or allow yourself to become negative. It's about facing up to reality and changing the way you respond to it. Letting go of the need to control of the uncontrollable allows you to save your energy and put it towards areas that you can control: your actions, your reactions, and your mindset. To finish, let's look at a real-life application of this lesson. Picture you were stuck in traffic, going to a key meeting. There is a building in you, the frustration, the wanting to rush, the anxiety that you will be late. In this situation, you have two choices. So, you can fight the reality and become more and more agitated, or so you can accept the situation as it is. Acceptance isn't saying stop trying to reach your meeting. It's just understanding that traffic is not your problem. Once you start accepting this, the frustration starts to wear away. You might even hold your breath. Remember that you can't change anyone but yourself, and actively think about something calming like music, positive thinking, or simply attention on the pause itself. That's how acceptance changes your relationship to difficult situations. It doesn't solve the dilemma, but solves the problem of somebody suffering in resistance to that dilemma. This embraces what is beyond your control and brings you peace with what is in the present moment, and life more with less tension. The more you practice acceptance, the quieter your inner world will become, even when outwardly your outer world feels chaotic. Focus on gratitude. One of the most powerful mindsets we have to turn towards is gratitude. It has the power to refocus our attention from what we don't have to what we do. It's very easy to get lost in what we don't have or what's misfiring in life. Grateful, when we take a practice of gratitude, it changes the way we see the world. Whereas before we feel overwhelmed with our challenges, suddenly the endless blessings, big and small, that take place in our lives every day start to become apparent. However, the big word, gratitude, is not only an emotion, but a practice, a habit we can train to become good at it. It's being conscious about deciding to appreciate what you have, even on days that feel all-consuming with other things. The more we practice gratitude, the more and more we understand how much there is to be grateful for. It is powerful because it changes our internal narrative. When we think about all we're grateful for, we teach our minds to notice the positive rather than seep in negativity. For instance, do you constantly get frustrated about a difficult situation, but instead of focusing on what's wrong, try to shift focus to what's right? Maybe it's because you have a supportive friend or quiet peace, or it's about learning and growing through the challenge. It helps us filter life through a perception of abundance, not lack. Journaling is one of the easiest, most effective ways to cultivate gratitude. You can begin by carving out a few minutes a day from your schedule and jotting down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or monumental moments, simply moments like a hot cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, or those quiet moments of calm in a busy day. The trick is to only think about what's going well in the present moment in your life. Once you start making gratitude, journaling a daily habit, you'll even begin to notice these changes in your mindset. The blessings and even the most run-of-the-mill moments at first might feel forced, but with time it gets easier to see the blessings. As you develop this habit, you'll see that this changes how you deal with the world. Gratitude turns our hearts soft and helps our outlook brighter and makes us feel closer to ourselves and closer to other people. If we focus on gratitude, we develop an abundance mindset that allows us to have more peace, more joy, more contentment, all because we lean into the abundance of it all. Instead of going after the things we don't have, we experience the things we do have. It's true, gratitude truly can change our lives one small moment at a time. Lesson live with intention. When you live with intention, you live with purpose, clarity, and mindfulness. It's not about reacting to circumstances or distractions and letting those dictate where your day goes. When you set positive intentions, you infuse the path you want to go onto into your mind and project into the world, and it brings focus and energy to everything you do. Setting intentions is not demanding perfection from yourself and is not making sticky, rigid goals. It's about it aligning your actions to your values and the experience you want to have. Does it involve being more present, being more patient, or choosing to be kind every time you engage? For most of us, living with intention offers a signpost to follow. Every time you make a choice, from the smallest to the biggest, that choice is made because of the intention you set. A simple example. If your intent for this day is to not lose your cool in the face of challenges, you're more likely to respond with patience rather than respond on impulse. You know what? If you set the intention to be kind, you'll be kinder to everybody. Small changes this can compound over time to become a life that feels more in line with who you want to be. Creating a morning ritual is a great way to live with intention, and one of which is to set your intentions for the day. It doesn't need to be a long and complicated thing. It could be as little as a few minutes at a time of being mindful. To begin with, get in the habit of waking up once you normally do, except that you spend a few minutes quietly before jumping into the chaos of the day starts. Take a few deep breaths, sit in a comfortable position, reflect on what you are bringing to your day. For today, what was my intention? How do I want to feel? What do I prefer to focus my attention on? Peace, creativity, kindness, or resilience? Pick a few or 1 or 2 intentions that make sense to you in the present moment, and affirm it silently. And you can imagine seeing your day, seeing yourself as you go through challenges with grace, or connecting with people at different points, or both. It is to get out of the day like you're walking into the day on purpose and with awareness, not by accident. By taking a few minutes, a little time each morning and setting your intentions, you are laying a solid foundation for the day, and by doing so you also turn your clear plan into a purpose one. When you go through your day, you'll feel more grounded. You're going to feel a little more present because your actions are a reflection of your deeper values. When you are living with intention, it keeps you on track with what it is that you are here for. You live with a sense of fulfilling and being directed on your road. Lessons: surround yourself with uplifting energy. The environment is a major influence on our mental and emotional health. We thrive just like a plant when it's in the right conditions too. Plenty of sunlight, good soil, and water. All the people we spend time with, all the spaces we inhabit, all the habits we cultivate collectively, create the energy we hold within us. If we surround ourselves with positivity, we create a peace in which we feel growth and joy. The energy we feel is very driven by relationships. Constant presence of negative, critical people around us makes it harder to keep our peace and positivity. Conversely, spending time with people who inspire, encourage, and lift us up will leave us feeling more responsible and tied to one another. We nourish our well-being when we surround ourselves with supportive, safe, and belonging people. Our energy is also affected by our physical environment beyond people. Disorganized and cluttered space causes you to feel overwhelmed and distracted. Clean and calm, organized and intentional space makes you feel calm and serene. That doesn't mean that you have to have an overly elaborate, perfectly designed space either. Sometimes a clutter clearing, or further to that, points of plants, or calming color can all change your perspective in your space. It creates a beautiful space where you are welcome to relax, focus, and stillness. Habits are important every day. Whatever small actions we repeat over and over throughout the day creates our mindset and emotional state. If we begin the day gung-ho, loading our phones and plunging into stress, then it's more likely that we will bring that energy with us through the rest of the day. What we lack is a ritual of positivity, such as mindfulness breathing, being grateful, or walking in nature. Slowly multiplying the focus of these small practices, they form a life-joyful, centered, agitated energy. Your start point to building a space that fosters positivity is to look at the people, places, and routines in your life. Are they propelling you as an engine or sucking the life out of you? If you have conflict with certain people, or you feel that you don't have a healthy relationship with them, a setback might be the best time to form more appropriate boundaries with them, or even to be rid of them completely. Think about your environment. Can you create a space that reflects peace? Clear away clutter, insert things that will make you happy, and give your home a mirror of your desire for serenity. Finally, you need to think about your daily habits. Pick activities that keep you healthy, not just physically, but also mentally, whether it's meditating, reading, exercising, or getting to know yourself better. When you purposely put yourself in a positive environment, you're going to intentionally create a life to support your well-being and grow in every aspect of your life. The more you surround yourself with uplifting people, places, and practices, the easier it will be to stay calm, positive, and connected to your inner peace. Let go of the need to be right. Our attachment to being right is one of the biggest sources of conflict in our lives, and that part of us that craves validation wants to prove we are correct. And in many situations, this desire to be right escalates tensions and prevents us from finding peace. If we hang on to the need to be right, we shut out understanding, compassion, and resolution. The problem is that when we let go of this need, we open the door to true peace and harmony. Buddhism teaches that the ego is one of the roots of suffering, not because it doesn't have the capability to be happy, but because it exists solely to find out how happy it can be and to be in charge of its condition. It also thrives, proving itself better, slower than, less good than. However, no matter, this desire to be right has brought frustration and separates you from others. Once we decide that being right is not as big of a deal as peace, our entire approach to dealing with conflict then changes. It does not mean we abandon our perspective. We don't. It just means we give up putting our point of view over all other views in a strive to be right. The shift can melt the tension and fill the space with comprehension. Suppose you're in a conflict with someone, another loved one, friend, or colleague, and the conversation both of you have different views to become heated. That ego whispers, "I must prove my point," yet inside you can feel the tension mount. Here is this moment of letting go that makes all the difference. Instead of continuing to argue, take a step back. Recognize that the need to be right is just the ego trying to protect itself. You don't need to fight to validate your position. Instead, try listening deeply to the other person's perspective. Acknowledge their feelings and their point of view, even if you don't agree. By releasing the need to be right, you create space for a more compassionate conversation. For example, if you're having a disagreement with a family member about how to handle a situation, instead of focusing on proving that your approach is the best, try to understand why they feel the way they do. You might say, "I see your point, and I understand why you feel that way. Let's find a way that works for both of us." This approach fosters connection, as opposed to the distance created by a need to win. When we let go of the need to be right, we restore peace in our relationships and in ourselves. We move away from conflict and closer to resolution. This doesn't mean we stop standing up for ourselves or giving up our beliefs. It simply means we stop allowing our ego to control the situation. We shift from a mindset of conflict to one of cooperation, where understanding and peace are the ultimate goals. Embrace silence and solitude. In a world saturated with noise, technology, other people, our own worrying thoughts, silence can seem scarce and sometimes even jarring. However, chunks of silence are invaluable for resetting the brain and spirit. Silence reminds us that we are always there and that our own lives often serve as catalysts we provide to look and take time for contemplation. So, it is in these quieter times we can hear our actual thoughts, hear our inner wisdom, and come back to balance. In Buddhism, silence is not just the absence of sound, but a powerful tool for meditation and self-awareness. When we embrace silence, we create a sanctuary where we can step away from the distractions and busyness of the world. In this space, we are able to listen to our thoughts without judgment and become more aware of the emotions and patterns that influence our daily lives. This awareness helps us understand ourselves better and fosters inner peace. Silence is also a way to reset. Just as our bodies need rest to function optimally, our minds need moments of stillness to restore their energy. Without silence, we risk burnout, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. But when we intentionally embrace moments of quiet, we allow ourselves the space to relax, reflect, and recharge. You don't need to set aside hours of silence every day to experience its benefits. Just small moments throughout your day can make a big difference. One simple way to incorporate silence is by starting your morning in quiet solitude. Before the noise of the day begins, spend a few minutes sitting in silence, either in meditation or simply enjoying the stillness. This will set the tone for a calm and centered day. You can also introduce silence during breaks throughout your day. If you find yourself overwhelmed, take a few minutes to step away from the noise, whether it's in the form of turning off your phone, sitting in a quiet room, or taking a walk in nature. These moments of quiet help you clear your mind so you can return to your tasks, feeling more refreshed and focused. Another powerful way to embrace silence is through mindful listening. When you're with others, practice being fully present without feeling the need to speak constantly. Allow pauses in conversation and give yourself and others the space to think and reflect. This not only deepens your connections with others, but also cultivates a sense of peace within yourself. Incorporating silence and solitude into your life doesn't require dramatic changes. It's about making intentional space for stillness. Even in the smallest moments, these pauses help you reconnect with your inner peace, recharge your mind and body, and find clarity amid the noise of life. When we embrace silence, we create the mental and emotional space necessary to navigate life with greater calm and presence. Lesson practice joyful living. Joy is not something we find only in grand achievements or distant futures. True joy comes from cultivating an appreciation for the simple, everyday moments that make up our lives. In Buddhism, happiness is seen as a practice, not a destination. It's something we can choose to experience, regardless of our circumstances, by embracing the present and finding gratitude in the smallest of moments. Often we fall into the trap of thinking happiness is something we will achieve when we have more money, more success, or more recognition. But the Buddha teaches that happiness doesn't come from external conditions. Instead, it is a state of mind we can cultivate through awareness, mindfulness, and gratitude. When we shift our focus from constantly seeking happiness to simply appreciating the joy that already exists around us, we start to experience life in a more fulfilling and meaningful way. Joy can be found in the ordinary, like enjoying a hot cup of tea, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, or taking a deep breath in the midst of a busy day. It's in these moments that we connect to the present and recognize that happiness is not something that needs to be earned or chased after. It is right here in the simplicity of life. A Buddhist perspective on happiness emphasizes that it is not an end goal, but a way of being. We choose to cultivate joy by being present and fully engaged in whatever we are doing. When we focus on the moment at hand, without worrying about what comes next or dwelling on what is past, we create space for joy to naturally arise. One way to practice joyful living is to begin each day with a sense of gratitude and intention. Before you get out of bed, take a moment to reflect on something you are grateful for and set an intention to find joy throughout the day. It could be as simple as choosing to smile more, savor your meals, or engage fully in your conversations. Another practice is to engage in activities that bring you joy, no matter how small they may seem. Whether it's taking a walk, listening to music, or spending time with loved ones, make space for these moments of joy every day. Over time, you'll notice that these small moments add up to a greater sense of happiness and fulfillment. Ultimately, practicing joyful living means choosing to see the beauty in the present moment. It's about appreciating the ordinary and finding peace and happiness within ourselves, not in the future or the external world. By embracing joy as a practice, we shift our mindset and create a life that feels rich with meaning, contentment, and true happiness. As we conclude this session, remember that growth is not an overnight transformation. It is a journey. The wisdom shared today is not something to master immediately, but something to practice and embody over time. It takes patience, both with the process and with yourself. The key is to take one step at a time and trust that each small action will bring you closer to the peace and positivity you seek. So, as a bonus tip, be patient with yourself. Understand that you are on a path, and every day is an opportunity to grow and learn. To start this journey, I encourage you to reflect on one lesson that resonated with you most today. Whether it's embracing silence, practicing gratitude, or letting go of the need to be right, pick one and begin incorporating it into your life. Small changes, when practiced consistently, can have a powerful impact on your mindset and well-being. If this video resonated with you, please like and comment below, sharing your favorite lesson or any insights you've gained. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom and practical tools that can help you live a calmer, more positive life. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.